Angela Hubbard is Hume-Fogg. I mean, she's been here either as the basketball coach and as the basketball coach and teacher since the beginning of Hume-Fogg Academic.
I was a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, and Angela had come to visit my grandmother, and I was at my grandmother's house, and I remember when she walked through the door, she was so tall and so beautiful, and she was athletic and funny, and she gave me a big hug, and I just remember looking at her, and I remember this like clear as day, like looking at her, and she was my Wonder Woman, and I just was so in awe of her. And she was an older teenager. I don't think she had graduated from college yet, but she was, older than I was. And she was patient with me, and she was kind and loving. I was a little girl. She could have shooed me away because she didn't come to see me, but she took her time with me. And I'll never forget that. It really made an impression on me.
It's so funny because she always treats you like, or treated us like young adults. And even to this day when I go home, she's like, call me Angela. I can't do it because I just think of her and respect her so much that I love being able to say that she's still my coach. And my phone, she saved as Coach Hubbard, and people always like, why do you have a coach number saved in your cell phone? I'm like, because she's my coach.
Many times, and it would be super intense periods of games, and she would want a timeout, and the referees weren't giving her timeouts. And so she would just storm the court to get the timeout. So that happened playing FRA one time at Nashville School of the Arts, and then it happened another time at Portland High School, and I think it was our district or region tournament, where she had to walk out on the floor, and I'm calling her back, Coach Hubbard, come back, come back, come back, and she's going after the refs. I need a timeout, because they weren't paying attention to her. So she is going to advocate for her players, for her students. She is an advocate for those around her.
The thing that I loved the most is that she would always do everything she could to help you out, whether that's talking to another teacher if you needed that. And for me, it was, I didn't have a car in high school, and my parents worked nights, and so she made sure that I got home from practice. She made sure that I got home from games. And those rides home were always awesome. We could talk a lot about, how we think we did, and, how we think the other girls are doing. And it was just fun to decompress in the car with her on those rides and really get to know her more on a personal level.
She cared for every single one of her players, even if they had a hard time believing it at the time. But Coach Hubbard really had the best interests of all of her players at heart. And even though she might have been tough on you at some times, it was all out of love. And I think for some players, they didn't realize that until they got older, or maybe until they left the team. But everything she did and everything she tried to teach you and coach you was all about making sure that you were not only the best player that you could be, but also the best person that you could be. And she saw the potential in you, whether you could see it in yourself or not.
When I moved here, I got the bright idea to have all of my family, 25 people over my house for Thanksgiving. I don't even know what I was thinking. And she immediately was like, what can I bring? And she drove 3 hours to bring homemade dinner rolls that all of our family is from Savannah, Tennessee. So she drove there, got these homemade rolls, drove back. She went above and beyond to make this first family dinner memorable. And she was dragging in ice. She was doing so much, and that's just her way. She always goes above and beyond, and especially when it comes to family. And her students here at Hume-Fogg and the co-workers, those are her family too. So when I say this, I don't mean just blood. She loves, really loves people, and always makes us feel a part of her. like of the things that matter to her.
When in 2009 we had to go to Marshall County in the region semifinals. And they were the defending state champions. They were 32-0. We had to go play them at Spring Hill in the region tournament, and nobody expected us to win, but Coach Hubbard knew that we could. We prepared the girls so that they could win, and when we won, she and I were not huggers, and she just came and bear hugged me and screamed, and so we had a good time. So that was a big one, just that memory of that reaction from Coach Hubbard.
I think as a team, we were all shocked but proud, and I think we all love the fact that we were able to make Hubbard proud too, in accomplishing that goal. And it was also my favorite season because we really gelled really well as a team. We were more than just teammates. We were all friends and family on and off the court. And we had a really tight bond that year.
When you look at how different, so many of us were on that team, and yet we were able to do things cohesively as a team and win and run awesome plays and hang out together and really just be successful in that. It's indicative. It was obviously an indicator that these skills would transfer down the road. And so I think that, we all took that really seriously. We knew that we had, a talent, and we nurtured that. And she made us nurture that. And she pushed us to be better. And she pushed us to not rely on, the promise of potential, but to actually put that into action. And I think that's really important because, when you are in a school like Hume-Fogg, where everybody tells you every day how smart and gifted you are, that didn't really mean a lot to Coach Hubbard. You had to show her that you could perform. And I think that is something that you need as a kid. You need it, especially in an environment where everybody feels incredibly special. You still have to, do the work. And I think that is one of the lessons that I've taken from sports, but in particular, and taken from Coach Hubbard. Do the work.
She communicates with her players, with her students. She's very clear in what she wants from them, and she gets them to get to where she needs them to be. So
she doesn't let you half do it. You can't just coast with her. You have to bring your A game when you're around her. And I think it's those high standards, those high expectations that at first appear to be, oh my God, she's mean. But it's the exact opposite of that. And I've had, since I've been here at Hume-Fogg, I've had students say, oh, I'm so afraid of Miss Hubbard, kind of like as a joke. And I've told them, I am too, because I know that if I'm ever caught slacking or doing something that's less than what she expects of me, like I'm gonna get in trouble. So I always have to be on, my P's and Q's around her.
It's just something about Coach Hubbard feels very familiar. And maybe that's because during one of the most formative times of my life, she was one of the most influential people. I mean, being coached by her, I saw her every day, and then having her as a teacher too in wellness, and she was something about her is magnetic because she's where we spent all of our time. If it wasn't at practice, we were in her classroom or in that little spare room eating lunch or spending IS in there. So it's something about her warmth that makes you feel comfortable and like you're in a safe space.
I think that she has welcomed students who may not have initially felt welcome in this place, but seeing her as a woman of color, as a woman in the workplace, period. I think that she has been a trendsetter, if you will, And her legacy is not only one of love, but one of acceptance of regardless of who the person is or what they've experienced. And I mentioned before, the expectations. I think that she has expected a great deal from her students and her athletes. And that in itself is a legacy that, through the years, sometimes, at any institution, in any relationship or anything, standards often erode. People gravitate towards what's comfortable and not always what's excellent. And I think that's one thing that, she's done, that she's like, okay, we can have this level, of comfort here. However, I still expect you to be your best.
When you look at all of the women that Coach Hubbard has coached over the years and, see who they are now, wonderful mothers, yes, teachers, surgeons, you have people who are, working for some of the biggest companies in the world, Google, Apple. It's awesome to see that those leadership skills that somebody, saw in them, hired them, and put them on their team are the same skills that she nurtured and pushed for us to develop when we were young. And so I think a lot of that has to do with sports. Really does have a lot to do with how successful women are in their careers. I think it's one of the first places that you can learn to be competitive, and it's okay. And that competitiveness, will serve you well in your future. And it's definitely served me well in my career. So many of the women that have played basketball at Hume-Fogg have gone on to incredibly successful careers. And they continue to be leaders in their field. And I really believe that it's because of having strong female role models and mentors like Coach Hubbard. So thank you.
Coach Hubbard, thank you so much for bringing me into the Hume-Fogg fold. Life would be different for me, I think. I would probably be teaching back in elementary because I was not enjoying my teaching experience at the time when you were able to pull me into Hume-Fogg to teach wellness and PE. And so I appreciate all of that from you. And I'm going to miss you, even though we could butt heads sometimes. We made each other better on the basketball court and in the classroom. And so I will miss you. I know that the school will miss you. And we're family. We know that.
Thank you for showing us the way that it should be done. Thank you for reminding us that each student has value and has something to contribute, even when that student isn't aware of it yet and hasn't even noticed it in themselves. Thank you for your patience, your optimism, your love. And I think and this is gonna sound weird, but in my entire life, I have never heard her speak ill of anyone. And I think that says a great deal about her character. So thank you for always being happy and energetic and speaking life into people, even when sometimes they're not nice people, but always finding the good in others. Thank you for that.